Apple has been on a tear for months. It's like every other week they're dropping something, expected or unexpected. Yesterday we finally got, and I say finally because we've been hearing about these in some way since like 2018, the AirPods Max. Over-ear premium headphones, premium build quality, premium sound from Apple that are really interesting. And I think there's a lot we don't know about them, but I think there's actually a lot more that we do know, or we can safely assume, that make these a really interesting product coming out from Apple right before the end of the year.
My name is Chris Bintliff, and these are transmissions from Not Really Rocket Science, where we study the technology, techniques, learning, and lifestyle of the modern marketing engine.
First thing to talk about, the thing that is fascinating to me, that still, after all this time, the hot take everybody has with a new Apple product, especially something brand new, a form factor we've never seen, is but the price. When historically, Apple doesn't usually get this very wrong. You could argue HomePod was overpriced. I don't think it was. I talked about that in the HomePod mini video. But at $349, the market said, okay, we'll drop it down to $299. But generally, Apple pulls competitors and industries forward, up with it, into its price range. It doesn't usually come back down to what's comfortable for everybody else. They're more than I thought they would be. I thought they might land at around $400, $150 more than AirPods Pro, but Apple said, no, we're going to be $300 more than AirPods Pro. We're not even going to be trying to compete with somebody who's weighing, should I get this or that? We're going to be way up here in $550. And I think that was gutsy, but I like it for a few reasons. One is, I think this entire product category has been underpriced. The usual suspects are underpriced. I think the tech inside these devices is amazing, especially I'm looking at the Sony Mark IVs, the XM4s. All of the sensors and the amazing things that it can do and is doing, that technology and the way all of this technology is integrating into the other tech that we pay a lot for, that's really important to us, our phones, even our computers, that is worth something. And it's worth a lot more than it keeps the rumble down when I'm on an airplane, which is kind of what the conversation of ANC headphones for a long time was. It isn't that way anymore. It's really a daily driver for a lot of us. And I think that the market is willing to spend more. I think there's always going to be a place for this $250 to $400. That's not going anywhere. But I think that the ceiling could be pushed, and I would have loved to have seen some of the usual suspects do a little bit more of that. Bose flirted with it with a $400 price point at the 700s, but I would have loved to have seen Sony with the Mark IVs, or even the Mark IV Premium, where they get rid of so much plastic and polyurethane and say, here's a premium, material, premium build quality. It's going to be made of metal and textiles, and we're going to price it at closer to that $500 price point. Because there's really nobody here. We've got all these usual suspects from Bose and Sony and others that are in this $400 and lower. But as soon as you get up into that $700 and north conversation, you are leaving this consumer grade, even premium active noise canceling wireless headphones, and you're going into a new market segment, somebody who is an audiophile looking for something wired, maybe open air. Their demands and what they're looking for is totally different than the consumer for the Bose 700s or the Sony XM4s or now the AirPods Max. I would have loved to have seen Microsoft with the Surface 2s, which is metal and has some innovative stuff with their dials for the active noise canceling and for volume. Would have loved to have seen them say, this is going to be a $450 headphone, everybody. Come and get us. There's a lot of reasons why they didn't do that, but I absolutely 100% expect that a year from now, we are going to see a lot more headphones in this space, in this price range, that are using some of what's being learned from AirPods Max. I absolutely think this will be a success for Apple, and I think that we'll see more premium build quality from Sony and Bose and others, and we'll see things like interchangeable, swappable ear pads and things like that. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, price is not too high. Price is too low on some of the things that we love to buy already, and that's only going to increase. Yet, the other interesting aspect of this is that is who the customer for these headphones is, I think. It's the people buying the Sonys or buying the Bose. They're not trying to steal from Bang & Olufsen. They're trying to bring up from some of these other, competitors that already have an allegiance to a brand. People love their Sony active noise canceling. Had the Mark III and now they're up to the Mark IV. People love Bose. They love what they're used to. But can they move some of these customers not just away from brands they love, but up into a different price point? I think they're confident they can because they've got some features to prove it. So here's where we don't know because we haven't picked it up yet. We haven't felt it. We haven't seen anybody using it. But we can make some assumptions that I think are fair. We can just go to the bank with them because there's so much about AirPods Max that are this really interesting sort of continuum, but also achievement from all these other product categories that seem to be informing it. So the aluminum on either side of the cans, we know what that's going to feel like. It's going to feel like Apple Watch. It's going to feel like iPhone. It's going to feel like iPad. It's going to be nice to the touch. It's going to not scratch too crazy. It's going to be lightweight, but strong and sturdy. We already know that. No reason to think that we won't have a lovely experience with the aluminum on either side of our faces when we're wearing these headsets. The colors, they're great, and we've seen them before. Renee Ritchie made a really interesting point that the headbands are the colors of iPhone, while the cans, the aluminum, is the color that we're used to from iPad. So the blue, that headband, is a color familiar to us from iPhone. And the aluminum on the cans, we've seen it with iPad. So we know what to expect from those things. We already understand that it's going to feel really good. The headband, we don't have a frame of reference for. There's nothing else in Apple's portfolio that's similar, but for me, it looks kind of ingenious. It reminds me of like a Herman Miller Aeron chair, where it's a fabric tension that provides the right amount of support, but also give and breathability and tension, and hopefully it's really comfortable to wear. If it's not, that's going to be a huge deal because obviously if it's uncomfortable to wear, it's almost a non-starter, as important as the sound. But one of the things that I read or saw or came across was that one of the delays in this was caused by Apple feeling like that headband was too tight. They were trying to get it right. For me, that's good news. If trying to get the headband right caused a delay in manufacturing or in releasing the product, then I'm hopeful that they spent a lot of time trying to get it right. Swappable, removable ear pads, great idea. Don't know why others aren't doing more of this. You can replace the ear pads for the Sonys or the Bose, but that's like a maintenance or repair issue. It's not meant to be part of the user experience. With the H95s from Bang & Olufsen, it is. They're just held on with magnets, super easy to take on and off, and then you can go to their website, buy a different color if you like, and conceivably customize your colorway of whatever your ideal headphones are. Same thing here with the AirPods Max. You'll be able to swap those out. Fully expect that the aftermarket game on this will be very high. It doesn't look like, looking at their website, that there's anything sort of tech-centric going on with that ear pad. It looks like it's just textile, plastic, and magnets. So I expect the cheapo Amazon market to be really active with all kinds of different ways that you can personalize or buy something that you like. But I also expect that there will be a premium or a luxury segment, of animal skin or something that people can customize, maybe even available from Apple. So it's another great way to keep people engaged and interested and invested literally in this product and in this product category. The tech and what it will be like to use the headphones, we know what to expect. It's going to be very similar to AirPods. It's going to immediately connect to our devices. It's going to connect between one device and another device super fast and super easy. No reason to think that we don't know what that will be like. Sound, which is a huge part of this and super subjective, but what I think we can all take to the bank is that these aren't going to suck. They're taking everything that they've learned, maybe from Beats, but certainly from generations of making first EarPods, which aren't great, but they learned that they weren't great. Then AirPods, which are better, still not great, but especially for me, HomePods. And they're going to take all that learning and tech and they're going to put it inside your ears. I think there's no reason to expect that these aren't going to be really excellent to listen to. Add in the Dolby Atmos, the spatial surround stuff. I think these are going to be a joy to listen to. I think they're going to sound amazing. The microphone array so that you can communicate or talk on the phone or talk to Siri, we know what to expect from that. I think it's going to be on point. I fully expect that these are going to sound great. Now, will they sound how you want them to sound? That gets into the subjectivity of what do you think makes for a great headphone. But I don't think we're going to see any reviews that say, the sound on these sucks. You might find the more nuanced things, and then that's up to you. What do you like about sound in a headphone? But I don't think that these are going to under-deliver on the potential for a really great sounding headphone, which is really important because if build quality is on point, comfort is on point, and then sound is on point, for me, you're certainly getting close to justifying that $549 price point. More things we don't know and don't quite know what to expect. I don't love the digital crown on the headset. I think it's weird. It feels like it's sort of bolted on. It's this weird little thing sticking out of an otherwise really elegant, minimalist, streamlined design. It's a weird metaphor to bring onto a headset. It makes total sense as a consistency to traditional timepieces when you're talking about it on an Apple Watch. It feels really random to me on headphones, but I don't have a great alternative. Gestures and swipes are weird. If anybody could have mastered it, I would think it would be Apple. So maybe it's telling that it's not on the AirPods Max, but it's a consistent point of concern and complaint for owners of the XM4s from Sony, Bose as well, the 700s. I've never owned those, but the H9s from Bang & Olufsen, which I have, that had a touch panel on it that was, I kind of enjoyed using it, but it was weird, and I would often get it wrong, and that's not elegant. I think that there's something to be said in touch and gestures, what we're used to doing on our phones, where we can make the connection between eye and object and finger, is not at all something that translates when we can't see it, and when we're just sort of moving our fingers around up on this space that we can't see. For me, you cannot beat what Bang & Olufsen does on the H95s or what Microsoft does on the Surface 2s, which is great big dials, rotary dials that adjust your volume and adjust your transparency mode or whatever. I think that can't beat it. So in some ways, Apple's doing that, coming up here with the tiny little digital crown, but even this gesture feels weird. This doesn't feel a lot less weird, does it? But we'll have to see how that shakes out. The case is weird. I like that it powers up the device and that it serves a purpose like that. It feels Johnny Ive designed, and late Johnny Ive designs were almost to a fault minimalist. And for me, sacrificed function, like the butterfly keyboard, if you know what I'm talking about. On the Max, the idea of saving a few millimeters at the expense of an actual user experience became obsessive from where I sit for a great designer like Johnny Ive. This feels Johnny Ive-ish, like it's not hard shell, so I don't know how much protection it's really going to offer. And the headphones themselves don't fold in the same way that a more compact headset does. And so they kind of lay flat. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't personally like a hard shell case with my headphones. I don't travel well with those. They're too much. It's too bulky. So when I travel with headphones, I have a soft shell case, but the way that I keep my headphones makes sense to me when I travel. A lot of people, that's not true. They want to throw them into a backpack in a hard shell case. Again, you can absolutely expect that there will be a strong aftermarket of hard shell cases for these, but Apple's case, super interesting, looks weird. I don't know. We'll have to see how that shakes out in the real world too. And then finally, Textiles, which I mentioned earlier, but we don't know what to expect from that. Apple's not really done that before. And I don't think there's anything comparable with Apple Watch bands or straps that we can point to. So this is something new where it really, again, gets down to comfort. If it's going to touch the skin, it has to really be comfortable. So how will that memory foam behave? I'm especially interested in how it will behave around glasses. Is it going to pinch my glasses like some headphones do? Is it going to seal around them? How is that outer sort of membrane, that kind of mesh? It almost looks like a prime knit, if you know what Adidas Ultra Boost shoes are. It almost looks like that. How's that going to wear? Is it going to be comfortable? How's it going to manage sweat and body oils and things like that? We don't know, and we won't know how these things play out in the real world until, we're way past first impressions and we're into wearing these, using these day in, day out, hour in, hour out. That's what I think. What do you think? Did you order some? Are you gonna? Do you think it's overpriced hype? Are you very content with what you've got with no plans to change? Do you have an open mind? What colors do you like? What colors do you hate? I've got opinions. I've got thoughts about it. You can be sure that I'll share them with you down the road. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and comment on transmissions from Not Really Rocket Science. Learn more at notreallyrocketscience.com.